Imagine trusting someone with your life, your kingdom, your secret plans. Imagine believing they would protect you at all costs. Now imagine that same person smiling at you, while quietly sharpening the knife behind your back. History is not just built by heroes and wars. It is shaped by betrayal, by friends who became enemies, by loyal allies who sold secrets, by people who chose power, fear, or survival over trust. Some betrayals ended empires, some changed religions, some rewrote the future of the entire world. And the most terrifying part, many of these betrayals came from the people who were trusted the most. Tonight we uncover history's greatest betrayals, stories so shocking, so cruel, that they still echo through time. Betrayal has always followed power. Wherever there is trust, there is the chance for it to be broken. One of the most famous betrayals in all of history begins not on a battlefield, but at a dinner table. Julius Caesar was one of the most powerful men Rome had ever seen. He was a brilliant general, a political genius, and a man loved by the people. Rome had just emerged from civil war, and Caesar stood at the top of the world. Many Romans believed he was unstoppable, but power creates fear. The Roman Senate began to worry that Caesar wanted to become a king. Kings were hated in Rome. The idea terrified the senators, especially those who feared losing their own power. Among Caesar's closest allies was a man named Brutus. Brutus was not just a political partner. Caesar trusted him deeply. Some even believed Caesar loved him like a son. So when whispers of rebellion began, Caesar never suspected Brutus. On the Ides of March 15th, Caesar walked into the Senate chamber. He was surrounded by men he believed were his allies. They smiled, they greeted him warmly. Then suddenly knives appeared. One senator stabbed him, then another, and another. Caesar tried to defend himself, confused and shocked. Then he saw Brutus. According to legend, Caesar spoke his final words. "You too, Brutus." At that moment, Caesar stopped resisting. He pulled his robe over his face and accepted his fate. Brutus believed he was saving Rome. But instead, the betrayal plunged the Republic into chaos. Civil war followed. Rome did not become free. It became an empire ruled by emperors. The betrayal meant to save Rome destroyed it forever, and it all began with trust. If Caesar's betrayal ended a republic, another betrayal shaped an entire religion. Jesus of Nazareth walked with 12 close followers, known as the disciples. They ate together, prayed together, and traveled together. Among them was Judas Iscariot. Judas was trusted. He handled the group's money. He knew Jesus personally, but somewhere along the way, something changed. Whether it was greed, disappointment, fear, or something deeper, Judas made a choice that would echo through history. For 30 pieces of silver, he agreed to betray Jesus to the authorities. The betrayal did not happen in public. It happened quietly, at night, in a garden. Soldiers arrived looking for Jesus. They needed to know who he was. Judas stepped forward. He greeted Jesus with a kiss. That kiss became one of the most famous symbols of betrayal in history. Jesus was arrested, tortured, and eventually crucified. Judas, overwhelmed by guilt, tried to return the money. When it was refused, he took his own life. To this day, Judas's name is used as a symbol of betrayal. His story raises painful questions. Can regret undo betrayal? Can one moment define a lifetime? And would history have unfolded the same way if Judas had chosen differently? Not all betrayals happen openly. Some happen quietly through letters, secrets, and lies. During World War II, Europe was locked in a deadly struggle. Nations depended on spies to survive. Information was power. One of the most damaging betrayals came from a man named Kim Philby. Philby was a high-ranking British intelligence officer. He worked for MI6, Britain's secret service. He was respected, trusted, and placed in charge of hunting Soviet spies. But Philby himself was the spy. For years he secretly worked for the Soviet Union. He passed along classified information, exposed undercover agents, and caused countless deaths. The most terrifying part was how long he got away with it. Philby was trusted because he spoke well, dressed well, and seemed loyal. Even when suspicions arose, his friends defended him. By the time the truth was undeniable, the damage was already done. Philby eventually escaped to the Soviet Union, where he lived out his life. His betrayal weakened Western intelligence and showed the world a frightening truth. Sometimes the enemy is not outside the walls. Sometimes they are sitting right beside you. One betrayal that still haunts an entire nation happened in ancient China. During the Warring States period, China was divided into rival kingdoms. Loyalty was everything. Betrayal meant death. A general named Wu Qi was known for his strict discipline and brilliance in battle. He helped states rise to power, but his success made enemies. After years of service, Wu Qi was betrayed by the very leaders he helped. Fearing his influence, they accused him of treason. When Wu Qi went to defend himself, he was attacked and killed. His death weakened the state, leading to its eventual downfall. The betrayal showed a dangerous pattern repeated throughout history. Leaders often fear their strongest supporters, and sometimes betrayal comes not from hatred, but from fear. Perhaps no betrayal feels as personal as the betrayal of a friend. In ancient Greece, Athens stood at the center of philosophy, democracy, and culture. One of its greatest minds was Socrates. Socrates asked questions, dangerous questions, questions that made powerful people uncomfortable. Some of his former students, now influential figures, turned against him. They accused Socrates of corrupting the youth and disrespecting the gods. Socrates was put on trial. He could have fled. His friends offered to help him escape, but he chose to stay. He drank poison and died. Betrayed by the city, he devoted his life to improving. Athens lost one of its greatest thinkers, not because of enemies, but because of fear and betrayal from within. Betrayal also played a key role in the fall of powerful empires. The Aztec Empire once ruled much of Central America. Its capital, Tenochtitlan, was one of the largest cities in the world. When Spanish conquistador Hernán Cortés arrived, he should have been crushed. Instead, he succeeded because of betrayal. Many local tribes hated the Aztecs. They were tired of heavy taxes and human sacrifices, so they betrayed the empire and allied with Cortés. Thousands of native warriors fought alongside the Spanish. The Aztecs fell, not just because of guns and disease, but because their enemies were once their own people. It raises a painful question. Was the greatest betrayal done by outsiders, or by those who chose revenge over unity? One of the most heartbreaking betrayals in modern history occurred during the Holocaust. In Nazi-occupied Europe, Jewish families were forced into hiding. Survival depended on trust. Some neighbors protected them, risking their lives. Others betrayed them for money, fear, or safety. In many cases, people were betrayed by friends they had known for years. A knock on the door at night could mean death. These betrayals did not always come from hatred. Sometimes they came from terror, but the result was the same. Lives were destroyed. The lesson is chilling. In times of fear, even ordinary people can become betrayers. Betrayal is not always sudden. Sometimes it is slow. The story of Napoleon Bonaparte is filled with loyalty and betrayal. Napoleon rose from nothing to become Emperor of France. His generals owed everything to him. But when his power began to fade, loyalty disappeared. One by one, his allies abandoned him. When Napoleon was defeated and exiled, many of those who once praised him turned their backs. Power attracted loyalty. Weakness attracted betrayal. Napoleon's fall reminds us that some people are loyal only when it benefits them. One of the most famous betrayals in American history involves Benedict Arnold. Arnold was a hero of the American Revolutionary War. He fought bravely and suffered severe injuries. But he felt unrecognized and mistreated. Anger turned into resentment. Resentment turned into betrayal. Arnold secretly agreed to hand over an important fort to the British. The plan failed and Arnold fled. His name became a symbol of betrayal in American culture. His story raises a difficult question. When does feeling wronged become an excuse for betrayal? Across all these stories, one pattern appears again and again. Betrayal rarely comes from strangers. It comes from people who are close, trusted, loved. It comes from fear, from greed, from ambition. and sometimes from the belief that betrayal is justified. History shows us that betrayal often creates consequences far greater than the original problem. Empires fall, faiths are shaped. Millions suffer, yet betrayal continues to repeat itself. Which makes us wonder, are betrayals inevitable when power exists? Would you recognize betrayal before it happens? And if you were placed in the same position as these betrayers, fearful, tempted, pressured, would you choose loyalty or survival? History has already answered many times, but the next answer belongs to us. What do you think was the greatest betrayal in history? And was any of it truly justified?